Okay, let's do some yoga. Let's begin by taking a cross-legged position and bringing ourselves to tune in. Our sitting bones connecting with the earth beneath us, the ground beneath us. Taking a lift and elevation up through the trunk of the body, the torso. Unclenching the teeth and relaxing the skin on the face. And lifting up through to the crown of the head. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. And settle in to your position. You might like to close the eyes so that you can scan the body. See if you're holding on to any pockets of tension anywhere, possibly in the shoulders, maybe in the hips. And just breathe in and breathe out. Letting go as you breathe out. Making space as you breathe in. We're going to work on the abdominal muscles to begin with, bringing about a greater sense of strength within the stomach, the core. We're going to get ourselves some balance, some coordination, and some brightness about our core in our body. We're going to look at also downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So let's get going. We're going to come round onto our hands and knees. We're going to have our knees hip width apart, our hands shoulder width apart, placing them onto the ground, onto the mat. Take time to settle into the foundation of the position. Be aware that you're not allowing your stomach to collapse down to the floor, as in just letting it all drop down, and that you haven't got a bend in the lower back. Okay, so you're actually pulling the tummy back towards the base of the spine. The belly button is drawing in towards the base of the spine. You're not crashing down your weight into your wrists. You've placed your hands on the mat, but you're actually elevating up. The energy is rising up from the mat, from the wrists, through the arms. Okay, take a nice deep inhalation through the nostrils and then exhale. Sigh the breath out even. You're going to take the right leg behind you, stretch it out, turn the toes under, and maybe just have a little roll backwards and forwards on those right toes, on the ball of the foot, just stretching through the leg. Bend the knee, return it back, then take the left leg and do that, straightening it out. Just having a little roll forwards and backwards on the ball of the foot, on the toes. And then release the right arm and stretch it forward. Nice stretch from shoulder to elbow, elbow to wrist, wrist to fingertips. And then place it back down. And without moving the trunk of the body, the torso, that's staying nice and aligned, your tummy still pulling in, you can release the left hand and reach it forward. And keep the gaze of the eyes directly on the mat beneath you. Unclench your teeth, unfurrow your brow, relax as you breathe and return to a central position. So if you can feel the weight pressing into the wrists, remember to brighten up and lighten the load. So draw the energy up through to the shoulders rather than collapsing down into the wrists. Okay, this time we're going to stretch the right leg behind us and then just raise it to hip level. Get the torso nice and aligned, belly button pulling in towards the back of the spine, and then release the left arm and stretch it forward. Check that the hips are level, that you're not rotating that right hip too high. You've not brought it up like this, you've not got a bent leg, you're not all over the place. You're keeping it aligned. Tip that right hip down to align with the left hip. Same with the shoulders, they are aligned. You haven't got one higher than another. Breathe. This is going to bring you great coordination and balance. It's working your core. And then return to a central position. Let's go on the other side. Extend the left leg behind you. Raise it up to hip level. So be aware that you're not taking it higher than it needs to. You're not opening out the hip too much. You've dropped that left buttock in line with your right. Stretching down through the back of the leg. You can have a nice pointed toe or a bit of a flexed foot, whatever feels good for you. Release that right arm. Take it forward. Unclench your teeth, breathe, pull the belly button into the base of the spine, brighten up, lift up through that left arm from the left wrist, rising the energy into the shoulder, and then gently release down and slowly bring the buttocks to the heels of the feet. Hands just rest on the thighs, chin parallel with the thighs. Take a breath in and out. You might like to close the eyes and just be aware of how you feel internally and externally. Good. And then bring the hands forward once again to our box position. Readjusting, checking your alignment, that your knees are hip width apart, your hands are shoulder width apart, your fingers spread. The skin on your face is nice and soft. You're going to turn your toes under. Scoot the belly in. Draw the pubis to the navel. Draw the navel to the base of the spine. So you're really contracting in the abdominals. And then just lift those knees away from the mat, maybe 4 or 5 inches. Remember, avoid crashing down into your wrists. You're actually elevating up. So feel the rise of the energy coming from the palms of the hands, up through the wrists, up past the elbows, into the shoulders, and then gently lower down. Release. You might like to have a little wiggle in between, a bit of freedom of movement. Okay, let's go again with that. So we're going to take a nice deep inhalation, pick the knees up from the ground. You've pulled pubis to navel, you've pulled navel to the base of the spine, securing it, lending it support. And then let's take another breath in and begin to straighten the legs. And then taking ourselves into what's known as dog pose, head down. So we're in an inverted V position. We're stretching up from the palms of our hands, elevating the energy up through the wrists to the elbows, from the elbows up through the upper arms to the shoulders. We want to draw those shoulders away from the ears. We want our ears to be brushing on the insides of our upper arms. And then we stretch up through the spine. From the crown of the head, we're stretching into the bones of the neck, and we're drawing that energy all the way up to our tailbone. lifting our tailbone towards the ceiling, and then allowing the energy to stretch down through the backs of the legs, down through the calf muscles, the Achilles tendon, into the feet. Ensure that the face is relaxed, the teeth are unclenched. And then we'll rise up onto the toes. Bring the knees down, turn the toes under into a kneeling position. Palms just resting on the thighs. Trunk of the body like a column, nice and straight. Pull the tummy in. Chin parallel with the thighs or the ground. And tune in to your flow of breath. Feel the energy bubbling, moving around inside you. Now remember, with a dog pose head down, the aim is to draw the heels down towards the mat. So we're looking at getting our feet flat on the mat. But for some of us, our heels might be up here, and we may feel like we're really not getting those heels down towards the mat. So we have to remember that in some of us, compression of bones means there'll be no more movement after that. So dependent on the way your bones are created in your foot and around the connection here of the ankle with the foot, once the bones come together, there's no more movement. So for some of us, our heels may never touch the floor in dog pose head down. So while you're practicing, you just have to be aware of and observe whether it's to do with the stretch in the backs of the legs, and if you can breathe out and relax and let go, or whether it's to do with the compression at the front of the feet, if movement can't go any further. And this does apply to other positions as well, but for now, working in dog pose head down. So let's just bend and straighten the knees alternately as well. This will help bring about some further stretch in the calf muscles. And remembering that your Achilles tendon is the toughest tendon of the body. It takes the longest to stretch, to release, to let go. Another nice deep breath in, come up onto your toes, bend your knees, turn your toes under, bring the heels to the, bring the buttocks to the heels of the feet, and then we're going to just bring the body forward and lower the head to the mat for child posture. Let go across the upper back. Relax as you breathe out. Just release any tension that you may have created there. Let it go. Remember, through your breath, you're actually synchronizing the building up and the breaking down, the elevation, the surrender, the bringing on board tension, the letting go of tension. It's continual, perpetual, cyclic. Just remember, you are able to let go. And then slowly pulling the tummy in, pulling the belly button to lend support to the spine. You'll restack the bones of the spine. Once the shoulders are over the hips, you can raise the head. Okay, let's walk our hands back in front of us. Box position once again. Turn your toes under. Relax around the face. Unclench the teeth. Breathe in, lift the knees, and then lift higher, rising up, taking the tailbone to the ceiling, and then exhaling and drawing those heels down toward the mat. let's release the right foot without moving any other part of the body. We have literally just picked the heel of the right foot away from the mat, then taken the right toes away from the mat. The foot doesn't have to go up very far. You can feel that little bit of movement in the hip joint, and then release the right foot back down without coming out of alignment, without making too many changes. You're just going to release the left foot. Keep those hips aligned, level. And then without making too many alterations at all, you're going to raise your right hand, pull the belly button in, support the spine, lower it down. Same again on the other side, lift the left hand. Remember to keep the breath flowing. And lower it down. So this time, let's take the right foot literally 5 or 6 inches off the floor, pull the belly button to the base of the spine and then release the left hand. Breathe. And gently release down. And then taking those left toes away from the mat about 6 inches, then release the right hand. Unclench the teeth, take a breath in through the nostrils, and then gently release. Rise up onto the toes, bend the knees, turn the toes under, bring the buttocks to the heels of the feet, bring the forehead to the mat, and stretch the arms alongside you, fingertips pointing in the same direction as the toes, and release and let go. And slowly drawing the chin onto the chest, pulling the tummy in, re-stacking the bones of the spine until you're once again in an upright kneeling position. Downward facing dog that was, also with the balance and coordination of releasing opposite limbs. So let's go to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Bring yourself into a prone position on your belly. Bring the feet to be at least hip width apart, maybe closer together if you can. Bring your hands beside your chest, fingertips aligned with the shoulders. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Have your hands, elbows and shoulders running on parallel lines. And breathe in, begin to pick the body up just a little. We're just moving through Bhujangasana to begin with. You should quite comfortably be able to take your hands away, giving those kidneys a little bit of a squeeze, helping to eject toxins. Okay, bring the hands back down. You're going to turn your toes under. You're going to breathe in. Straighten the arms, scoop the belly in, lift the thighs away from the mat. Chin parallel with the ground. Teeth unclenched. A breath in through the nostrils. And a breath out. A nice, long, conscious breath. And then slowly, without collapsing, still pulling the tummy in, lengthening through the torso as you lower, and then you can cross the hands and just rest the cheek and have a couple of rounds of breath. Becoming aware of the chest and the torso compressed against the ground. So take your observation into your back, the back ribs, and be aware when you next breathe in how those back ribs can lift and open, making room for the lungs to inflate. So let's try that again. We bring our hands beside the chest, fingertips in line with the shoulders. We turn our toes under. Keep your elbows nicely in to the sides of the body. Keep the face soft. Breathe in and begin to lift the chest away from the mat, straightening the arms, picking the thighs up away from the mat, pulling the belly button in towards the base of the spine. Your stomach, your abdominals are there for good reason, and they are there to lend support and protect your lower spine. For too many years, you've possibly allowed your spine to do all the work by letting go of your stomach muscles. It's easily done, but if you keep a strong core, a strong abdomen, your spine will thank you for that. So from dog pose, head up, breathe in, pull up, lift up, pick up, dog pose, head down. The breath flowing into the nostrils and either out of the mouth or the nostrils. So we're going to take another breath in now. And we're going to transfer our weight forward, get our shoulders over our wrists and lower the thighs just above the mat. Dog pose, head up. Breathe in, pick up, lift up. Exhale, dog pose, head down. Breathe in, transfer the weight forward. Dog pose, head up. As you exhale, and then you're going to breathe in, scoop the belly, lift the hips and the buttocks. Dog pose, head down. Breathe in, transfer the weight forward, shoulders over the wrists, lower the thighs just above the mat, and then very slowly, without collapsing, bring the thighs to the mat, fronts of the feet. You're now in cobra, giving a beautiful squeeze to those kidneys. And then as you exhale, keeping the elbows close in to the sides of the body, elongating through the trunk of the body. So you're stretching forward to the crown of your head as you lower, and then cross the hands and rest the cheek and take a couple of rounds of breath here. Bring the hands beside the chest. Nice deep breath in as you come onto hands and knees. Bring yourself to sit back, buttocks on the heels of your feet. And then we can bring ourselves round into a cross-legged position. Once again, become centered and grounded in your seated position. You might like to close the eyes so that you can take a deeper inward view. Have that sense of lift about your torso, the trunk of your body. You're elevating both internally and externally. So the flesh is lifting. On the outside, use your mind to message the skin on the trunk of your body, especially those parts that you may not see. Those parts of the flesh that get lazy and stay hidden. It's your time now to engage with them, waken them up, brighten them up, lift them. And when you exhale, find any pockets of tension that you may be holding on to, especially in the shoulder area, and just vaporize that tension as you breathe out. Surrender it, let it go. Let go to everything which no longer has any use. In a constant cycle of inhaling and exhaling, you are continually building up and breaking down. Anabolism and catabolism are these two processes, building up, breaking down. You are able to relax and release just as balanced and able as you are to create activity. And when the two are done to the same level, you find equilibrium. Unclench the teeth. Allow the tongue to swell in the mouth as it relaxes. It will touch on the teeth. Within the realms of equilibrium, you can find a state of peace and contentedness. Observe how you feel internally and externally, becoming aware of the new burst of energy that you have activated in this session and how it's now moving, transporting around your body and your mind. So I encourage you to make the most of the rest of your day and enjoy this space in time that we are being given.